Hey, good afternoon. Greg Flanagan here. After a trip up under Zoom, we went back to StreamYard. Now we are live with Fridays with Flanagan. And it is 11 o'clock. It is Friday, and we are in Charleston, South Carolina. Folks, if you don't know the Charleston weather, you got to know it. This is beautiful weather today. For the last 2 days, we've had 69 degrees in the morning with low humidity. That's unheard of, right? It's unheard of. It's beautiful nights. Of course, today we're going back to 100% humidity. So if you're looking to get down this way, please drop me a line. We'll be happy to get you some information about moving. I'm Greg Flanagan, and every Friday for the last few years, we've had Fridays with Flanagan. It started out as just my passion is to help people, help real estate agents become better real estate agents, because they're going to teach people down the road how to become more professional, better prepared, better scripted, not scripted, let's call them better conversationalists about how to treat people during a home buying or home selling relationship. And that's my whole goal here. Okay, I'm not a professional teacher or anything like that. What I want to bring you is the mindset and the skills in order to go forward with your career. A lot of people start this career, and for $600, it's pretty easy one to do. You got to go through 60 or 90 hours worth of training, classroom training, and then they take a test, and you go out there and you figure, I'm going to make $1 million. And very few people do. Very few people actually get past the first year. And there's a reason for that, because they don't have any direction. They don't understand what needs to be done on a daily basis, what their mindset needs to be on a daily basis, and how they overcome the hurdles during those first 2 or 3 years. So join me every week, and I'll try to bring some value to your life, some value to your job, maybe some introspection of who you are. And let me tell you a story. Years ago, I was being recruited, and the recruiter and I had a pretty contentious relationship. I want to call it relationship. I was going to call it something else, but let's call it a relationship. And one of the things I wasn't seeing, I had blind spots, right? I knew what I needed to do. I was a good salesperson, and I only saw this. I only saw it right in front of me. I didn't see the sides. I didn't see what other people saw. Not that I really cared, nor do I care to this day, but they were seeing a pretty harsh Greg, and that wasn't me. And thankfully, that person helped me with growing personally. Okay, and since that time, I'm still growing. I grow every day. I learn every day. Not the sharpest tool in the shed, I guess they call it. But come along the journey, and I would love to bring you with me. So today we're talking about, and let me pop up my screen here. What if less than 1 hour I could show you how to change the way you do business? Would it be of value of you? When I got to my present brokerage here, that was one of the things I didn't know. Change the way you do your business. I was doing it as a single agent. I was doing well. I was running my tail off, going here, going there, doing everything possible, and burning bridges on the way out the back door, which wasn't real good. So they taught me this thing. It's called the 6 personal perspectives. And one of the things with the 6 personal perspectives, we're going to go over them real quick. This is normally you can do this course in a day, a week. There's so much here. I'm going to try to do it in about 15 to 20 minutes and just hit on the big, the big side of it, and maybe get your brain flowing a little bit about what we're talking about. So the 6 personal perspectives all around, it's about mindset, attitudes, and your approach to life. If you have a stinking thinking mindset, right? What's a stinking thinking mindset? A stinking thinking mindset is one of, screw everybody else. I don't care what anybody else thinks. The world stinks. Everything stinks. Your attitude towards your job, it's a job. I'm going to take as much money from as many people as I can. I don't care about you. This is transactional instead of relationships, and the approach to life. Are you coming from gratitude, or are you coming from scarcity? You owe me, right? I don't have enough. There's all different attitudes to life and approaches to life. So those three things, mindset, attitudes, and approach to life, all bring in the 6 personal perspectives. That's where you put all these together, and somewhere in the middle, you actually become a better person, which in our world, the more you grow personally, the more your income grows. The more you grow personally, when you understand yourself, when you become more authentic to yourself and to other people, the more your income will grow. When you're helping other people, the more your income will grow. You might not see it at first, but just keep helping, keep that collaboration going. So there are 6 steps to the personal perspective. And the first one is commitment to self-mastery. This says to you, I am going to nail this. I am going to master this. What is this? This is anything that you put your focus on, right? The more we focus, the better off we are. It's what we focus on expands. In our world, it's called the bold law. What we focus on expands. If you focus on helping people, you're going to help more people, and opportunities will open up. If you focus on helping people buy and sell homes, the more you do that, the better you get, the better you start to master yourself and master the craft of real estate. Everybody agree with that? Mastery takes about 10,000 hours. Break that down into years. Supposedly we work 2,020 hours a year. Over 5 years, that's 5 years of understanding and building on what you're supposed to do, and becoming a master at your craft and a master at yourself. So if you started saying, I remember when I finally made a decision to move brokerages, the recruiter said to me, he said, okay, you can come over. He was allowing me to come over, and I thought I was allowing myself to go there. I had a pretty big ego. And he says, but leave your ego at the door. And it was one of my biggest things back then. I had a pretty big ego, and since I've let that go, it's amazing the personal growth you get. So commit to self-mastery, commit to improving yourself, read the books, get into groups. You're the average of the 5 people that you hang around with. Don't be the smartest person in that group. Get in a group, shut your mouth, and listen with your ears. So the second one here is, I get my thing back over there. Follow the 80-20 principle, right? Who knows what the 80-20 principle is? The 80-20 principle is Pareto's principle, right? 80% of the sales are going to be made by 20% of the people. 80% of what you produce is going to be focused on 20% of your time. You take your time. I'm going to focus on my big rocks, right? So if you want to make $500,000, your big rock is what? It's telephone calls, it's knocking on doors, it's following up, it's staying within your database, it's lead generation, right? You're asking for referrals. This is 20% of your day. The other 80% of your day is going to be meeting people, writing contracts, and closing deals. But the 20%, the most important 20% of your day is going to be lead generation. So follow the 80-20 principle. Everything you do, 20% of everything you do, focused attention, intentional, focused attention, will get you 80% of your results. Don't care what you're doing. That's important. I'm going to focus on my big rocks. Set yourself 1 or 2 big rocks. If you know what a 411 is, get into a 411 and go forward. Any questions there? So we got commit to self-mastery, follow the 80-20 principle, and the next one up, again, my mouse, there we go, transition from E to P. Probably to me, it's one of the most important parts of this. You're an entrepreneur. and entrepreneurs hit a ceiling. Okay, we're very good at activating, and most of us on here are entrepreneurs, right? We overcame the fear of not having a paycheck. We overcame the fear of people rejecting us. So we got it's excitement. We're running. All of a sudden we hit the ceiling. Our excitement wanes. We're on the ceiling, but we can't get past the ceiling. And that's when intentional actions, you're purposeful. You're about breaking through the ceiling of achievement. Once you break through that ceiling, you go to the next floor and you start working towards the next ceiling. Entrepreneurs stop. When they hit that ceiling, they usually bounce back down and they start looking for another money-making solution. And they keep hitting the ceiling, And what stops them during that to break through? The lack of intention. The lack of intention to say, I'm going to stay with my 20% and I intend to call 50, talk to 50 people a day. I intend to make sure I follow up with 30 people a day. I intend. So that intention becomes purposeful. They actually do it. They time block. They get into a time block. My time block is between 8 and 11. I'm going to do nothing but lead generation. And I'm going to know where I'm lead generating. I'm going to know that my lead generation has got to come from this group of people today, this group of people tomorrow, and I have 4 or 5 pillars of intentional lead generation. When you become purposeful in what you do, your 80-20 principle kicks in, and it's unbelievable, right? You're going to start making money. It is probably the simplest, easiest thing to do. Form the habit of between 8 and 11 to sit down, focus on lead generation, and you will make money. You will have a great life. So, any questions there? Great. Next one up, learning based. The foundation of your action plan. When I first started getting personal growth, I knew everything. It's like the old adage, I knew more at 18 than I do now, because I'm growing in myself, right? I'm learning based. How did I do that? I started reading books. I tell the story about my recruiter, and he said, we were sitting there one day, probably our last recruiting meeting, and he said to me, he says, you know what the difference between you and I are? I said, what's that? He said, I read. And I was like, what? What's that got to do with the price of gold? I mean, I had read Tony Robbins, I read other books. I never really implemented them. I never got purposeful. Let's go back to E to P. I never got purposeful. I was always an entrepreneur looking for that quick fix. And once I became learning based, I became willing to be taught, and I constantly pursue new learning. I'm constantly reading now. Now, if I put a book in front of my face, let me tell you something. If I put a book in front of my face, I'm asleep in 5 minutes. I can't read. If it's not a technical book, I love technical books, I fall asleep. I listen to books, right? Thank God for Audible. I listen, and that helps me along the way. And you've got to open yourself up to learning. If you're not learning, you're not going anywhere. You're living in the ignorance of, I know what I know, and that's all I need to know. You got to live with, I know what I know and I want to know some more. There's always new information coming out. I'm not saying every book is going to be, the book that you need, but there might be something in that book. There may be something that strikes a chord, maybe one little nugget. You have to do it. Go to your trainings for agents that are on, that are especially in that 1 to 5 year. You're lucky. I mean, when I started this thing, I probably spent $5,000 or $6,000 the first year to take the classes from Floyd Wickman, from Tracy and Ferry. Tom Ferry was just starting. Mike Ferry, his father. I mean, every one of them cost money, and it grew. That's how I started, and then I got to a point where I thought I knew everything, and then 10 years later, I said I really don't know a lot now that my eyes are opening. So it's more about you. Stay learning based, not only in skills, but also in personal growth. There's always something to learn in personal growth. All right. Any questions on that? Next one up, step 5. Remove your limiting beliefs. Wow. Wow. Think about your limiting beliefs. The words that we use, not only with other people, but within ourselves. We have this self-dialogue going on. And that dialogue, what is it telling us every morning? What is it saying to us? Hey, Greg, it's a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day. But you know what? You're not going to sell a darn thing because it's 4th of July. That's a limiting belief. Hey, Greg, you can't sell anything because you're too fat, you're too short, you're too ugly, you're too pretty, you don't know enough. These are all limiting beliefs that you don't need to have in your head. When you're talking positive to yourself, when you're affirming your existence, when you're affirming that this is a great day, today I am going to go out and sell something, that's getting through the limiting belief. Sorry about that, I got a little waylaid. I didn't shut my phone off. Hold on. Nate, you got to cut this out. There we go. All right, so limiting beliefs, anything that comes into your mind, you have got to filter. You've got to filter. I know when I learned meditation, one of the things we learned was when a thought comes in, especially when you're meditating, there's one word that I say to myself, noted, and that thought leaves. So all you're doing is you're affirming these things coming in. You're not agreeing with them, noted, noted, noted. And that's the same thing with the negative thoughts coming into your head. Get in and learn. Meditation is great. Affirmations are great. And I'm not saying, affirmations are the get out and the all, whatever the heck they call that, right? The end to all. But when you're telling yourself that you're good at what you do, that you're going to take the listing, that you're going to sell the buyer, that you're confident in where you're going, when you're telling yourself the positive things, when you have that self-talk and it's telling you all the good things, you're going to forget about the limiting beliefs that I'm too short, too fat, too ugly, I don't know enough, I'm not rich enough, I'm too poor. Those are all limiting beliefs. So get over it, get over yourself. And again, limiting beliefs is a full day's course. It's absolutely wonderful. It's amazing what we tell ourselves. Any questions there? Let me stop. So limiting beliefs. I've sold multiple $1 million homes. Okay, hey folks, there's nothing really different between selling a $1 million home and a $100,000 home. Honestly, there's nothing different. The only thing different is your paycheck. So the limiting belief, I talk to a lot of agents going, wow, I wish I could sell it. Well, what's stopping you from selling a $1 million home? I can tell you what's stopping you. You're not marketing to $1 million customers. Market to $1 million customers, you're going to sell $1 million homes. But the limiting belief is, I don't have enough knowledge. I don't, they know more than I do. They got more. No, you know what a millionaire is? Listen, this is your limiting belief. A millionaire is nothing more than a person who owes $1 million. They can call themselves a millionaire. Get over it. They got the same insecurities you do. They've got the same needs that you do. And just go out there. If you want to sell $1 million house, go sell $1 million house. There's nothing special about it. You got to know the market. You got to get your skills up, obviously. But there's really nothing there that can stop you. All right? Self-mastery, master your skills, and you can sell $1 million home. So get over the limiting beliefs. Your income is going to go absolutely sky high. Be accountable. It's mine. I own it. I am accountable to myself. I am accountable to what I do. There's no excuses. In my world, there's no excuse. Okay? I own it. I own what I do, and once you own what you do, life becomes a lot easier because now you've got to have the conversation with yourself. I promised you this. I didn't give it to you. Well, how's that going to make you feel, Greg? And it's a conversation I have. How's that going to make you feel? It's going to make you feel like, you know, I don't want to say it, but it's going to make you feel bad. So be accountable to yourself, be accountable to somebody else. We talk about accountability. I have a small team here in Charleston, South Carolina. We sell real estate. The way I look at that team is, number one, they are my clients. They hired me to help them be accountable because they have certain goals to reach. And when we're accountable to each other, your reputation's on the line, right? So be accountable not only to yourself, but to somebody else. Bring in a partner that's not going to let you off the hook. You know, too many of us get together and go, yeah, let's be accountable. And that first time that you don't call me at 8 o'clock, you know, I don't call you on the carpet for it. The second time you do it, third time, I'm letting you off the hook. You're not being accountable. I'm not being accountable to you. Coaching, you know, we talk about coaches. And I remember I had coaches in my early days. We've had think about this. We've had coaches our entire life. We've had coaches our entire life. Your parents were your coach, your older brother, your older sister, your sports coach, your speech coach, your music coach. Why do we not have coaches in business? What is the big, scary thing that you go, I don't want to see that coach? Once I understood accountability in coaching, my income grew. I had coaches in the beginning of my career, and I didn't hold them accountable. I mean, I remember one coach, I could actually hear him feeding the dog as the kibble hit the pan. And I was like, well, this guy really doesn't give a damn about me. I mean, he's not vested in me. The only thing he's doing is taking my money. So I stopped coaching for a while. I stopped hiring coaches until I ran into one barnstormer, and he said, what's wrong? And I told him the stories about these coaches I was burning through. And I thought I was uncoachable. I honestly thought that I was uncoachable. What it was I didn't have the right coach. I didn't get the coach that was going to hold me accountable for what I wanted in our relationship. So once I got that coach, the next coach I hired stayed with me for, I think, 2.5, 3 years, helped me through a lot of stuff, got me onto the next pay level, and believe me, that makes a big difference. I have never not had a coach since that day, and I make sure that I interview them and I make sure I hold them accountable. If they're not holding me accountable, I'm talking back to them and saying, hey, you're not doing your job. This is what I need. So be accountable. It's going to raise your income. So what does all this mean about in less than 1 hour, I can change the way you do business? Right? That's what I promised you. These 6 personal perspectives, if followed, you will change your business. Okay, if you will dive a little bit deeper into these, and I'll do it, I can help you with that, no big deal. I can help you with these. When you dive in here, and when you get accountable, and when you get purposeful, and you master yourself and you master your skills, you start making more money. You start selling more houses, and it's amazing. It's not a big long process. Okay, it's not a very big long process. It's a continuous process. Once you learn it, you understand it, and you can click those things on in your head. I know when I get into a rut and I realize that my focus is off, I refocus and I laser point into into what I need to do. And lo and behold, it works. And I want to tell you exactly how it works. So back about 3 years ago, I was in a group setting, and the proctor of the training, who needs some help? I raised my hand. I said, you know what? I'm behind on my goals. He says, what do you need to do? I said, I know I need to lead generate. He says, well, how much do you need to lead generate to get your business back on track for the year. And I sat there and I thought, I said, probably about 30 hours a week, just to get it back. And he said, what's that worth to you? How much are you willing to put on the table? And he was asking me for a sum of money. And I said, you know what? I'll put 5,000 down if you're going to hold me accountable. This is one way to hold somebody accountable. It's not for everybody. He said, okay, you got your checkbook with me? And lo and behold, of course I had my checkbook with me. He says, write that check out to the person that you would least like to have that money. And I wrote it out to an old business partner that the last thing I wanted to give him was another nickel. And I started writing the name of the guy on there, and the coach said to me, the trainer, he says, you know what? Double that amount. Now the 5,000, I could have sucked that up pretty well. Now you're starting $10,000 and you're going, oh no, no. But I wrote it anyway. My ego kicked in a little bit, and I knew I needed to get a little bit of oomph. And I wrote the check for $10,000. I put it in an envelope. I put the man's address. We even stamped the envelope, and I handed it off to another guy, another person I knew would mail it. And I had to come back in a week and show them that I had done 30 hours of lead generation and what my results were. Well, I'll tell you what, probably one of the most stressful weeks that I've had in my life, because I knew I was going to lose $10,000. Scarcity thinking. I knew I was going to lose $10,000. I wasn't thinking about what I could gain. What did I gain? Here's the end of the story. After 30 hours of lead generation, I had brought in about $3.5 million worth of appointments that I made during that week. And as we followed them down into closings, it closed out at about $1.6 million worth of business. That $1.6 million worth of business, right, was $48,000. That's accountability. That $10,000, knowing that guy was going to drop that check in the mail if I didn't do my job, made me go to work. It made me focus. Okay, this is how you change the way you do business. This is the way you change business. I went from being behind to bringing my business up to where it needed to be. And I kept that focus for a while, one of my better years. So get into the 6 personal perspectives. If you want to dive deeper, give me a holler, give me a call. Happy to help. You can grab me at greg@flanaganhometeam.com, greg@poweronwardmastermind.com. Any one of these social networks is fine. Let me get them up there. Power Onward Mastermind, and I'll be happy to help you. I got a 15-minute call. We're not doing that one anymore. This one's already gone. All right, we can stop sharing that now. Anyway. There we go. All right, guys. It is June 24th, 25th, somewhere out there. Weather's beautiful. We're going to get a little bit of rain. 4th of July is coming up. Come back to us with all your fingers, your ears. Don't go blowing off crackers. Anything I can do for you, drop me a line. Get it back to me, and I'll be happy to do it. Go out there, be prosperous. We'll see you next week.